Today, we are talking about B-roll footage, what it is, why you need it, and how you can shoot it on your phone. And if you're not already shooting B-roll, by the end of this video, you're gonna understand what it is and how you can apply it to your video content. So let's start with the obvious. What is B-roll? B-roll is the alternate footage that you intercut with the main shot. And so now we have the definition of B-roll. Let's ask the question, why do you need B-roll? Because it helps you tell a visual story. And because it breaks up your video and keeps it interesting. And here on YouTube, the name of the game is watch time. So you wanna do as much as possible to keep people engaged and watching your video. And B-roll is gonna help you do that. And another cool thing about B-roll is it can help you fix shooting mistakes. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit later. And if you are already shooting B-roll, leave a comment down below if you have any tips or tricks to do it, and let me know and everybody else. I read every single comment and I reply to as many of them as I can. Now let me show you some examples of how you can use B-roll in your videos. Example number one. I know you've all been to the movies and at some point or another you've seen one that starts off with a super wide shot of a city. And then it zooms in a little bit more, the city gets a little bit closer, and maybe there's an overhead shot with some traffic underneath. And finally the camera settles down into a neighborhood before resting on a front door or the front of a building. And then the scene picks up inside where the actors are. That's also called an establishing shot, but it's also B-roll. It helps tell the story and let you know where you are in the movie. So I just use photographs for B-roll, and that's fine too, because I obviously don't have that kind of video footage to share. But I kept the audio track of me speaking underneath it, and then I put those on top and moved them around. And that's perfectly fine for B-roll. The goal is to use these images to help tell your story. Example number two. One of my previous videos was about microphones and audio for your smartphone. And by the way, I'm gonna put a link to that right there if you're interested in watching that. But while I'm watching the video and still speaking to you, you're gonna notice that I do close-up shots of maybe my hand sticking a cable into the phone or putting a dead cat onto the microphone and so on and so forth. That's B-roll. I'm using these images to tell my story. Now, I didn't have to use those video clips, and you don't either. Do whatever works best for you. But in a talking head situation like this, it's easy for you to get bored, and to be honest with you, you probably don't wanna look at my scruffy nerve-hurting face that long, and I don't blame you. Now, I mentioned before that it can also help you cover up mistakes, and this is one really cool thing about B-roll. Let's say you're shooting and you don't realize that your camera went out of focus during part of it, or maybe you sneezed or coughed. Well, you can keep the audio track, you can delete the sneeze or the cough, and you can lay B-roll footage over that so nobody really notices what happens during the video. Or if your camera went out of focus, you can just lay B-roll on top of the part that went out of focus, and nobody will be the wiser. Just make sure that when you do add B-roll to your video, kind of keep it the same vibe. If you have a fast-paced video, your B-roll should probably match. If it's slow and relaxing, your B-roll should probably match that too. So now that you know what B-roll is, and you know why you need B-roll, let me show you some tips so you can shoot it on your phone. Tip number one, plan the shoots. Study the subject, go to the locations, make notes, visualize what it is you're gonna shoot, so when it comes time to shoot the B-roll, you've got an idea of how to do it and where you're going to do it. Tip number two, if you can, shoot in 24 frames per second if you're trying to get a cinematic look. By default, most phones shoot 30 frames per second, and some of them you can change that, but sometimes you need an app to do that. My favorite app is called Filmic Pro, and I'm gonna put a link down in the description below for that, as well as any other gear that I talk about, so be sure to check that out. And what these apps allow you to do is have full manual control over your camera and adjust the frame rates. You can do 24 frames per second to make it cinematic, or you can do 120 frames per second and then slow it down in your video editor to make butter smooth slow motion video. And I know you've all seen that before. It's all over the internet, it's all over the movies, super smooth slow motion B-roll. If that's what you want to shoot in 120 frames per second and then slow it down. Tip number three, stabilize your video. If that means you've got to put it on a tripod or lean up against something to hold it solid, or hold it with both hands, or even use a gimbal, which is basically just a handheld stabilizer, do that. Everything you can do to make it smoother is gonna give you a better end result. And by the way, I'm gonna put a link down below to some really nice gimbals. Tip number four, shoot a variety of shots. Shoot around the subject, shoot high, shoot low, shoot wide, shoot medium, shoot up close, shoot macro. The more interesting you can make your shots, the more engaging your audience is gonna be when they're watching your video. Tip number five, and here I'm gonna piggyback on tip number four, and that's to get creative and stay creative. Use a time lapse, use a hyperlapse, use slow motion, speed it up, use speed ramping. There's a lot of tools at your disposal to make your B-roll look awesome. Tip number six, shoot more video than you think you're gonna need. I shoot each clip about 20 to 30 seconds. That way when I bring it back, I've got more than enough footage to fit into my video. Tip number 7. Now some of these things are obvious and I went over them in previous videos, but make sure your lens is clean, make sure you have enough storage space in your phone, and make sure your battery is fully charged before going out to shoot B-roll on your phone. And that wraps up our B-roll video. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button followed by the notification bell so you don't miss anything and you can continue to master your mobile. And I'll see you in the next video.